I'm Tina Laster, and today we're in my kitchen here at Laster Farm, and we're gonna can up venison. This deer meat I have defrosted. I have soaked for about an hour in salt water, and then I have washed it and drained it thoroughly because we don't want it too salty, and I'm not gonna re-salt it when I get ready to put it in my jars. We're going to be canning with our digital pressure canner, and I just love this pressure canner. I've been canning on it. This is my second season, and it's just, I've never had a problem with failed jars or anything. It's just been super great. You can also water bath can or pressure can in this canner, and right now I've plugged it up. I've got my water inside. I'm going to place our tray in the bottom. That will keep our jars above the heat, but it won't, let them touch. They'll get so hot that they'll bust. So right now it's flashing that it's on pressure can, but you can just turn the button from side to side. This is for water bath. This is for back to pressure can. So we will be pressure canning. And then what I'm going to do is just push the button in. And then you just turn the knob and set your time. So we've got to set it for 75 minutes. Okay, it's set for 75 minutes. I'm going to push the start button. And it says insert jars. So we're going to insert our jars. I put a little water on the bottom of our jars, and that way, they get good and steamed. Even though my jars are clean and we've washed them thoroughly, I still do this process. I don't skip it just in case, even though people say when you pressure can, the pressure canning sterilizes your jars. Yes, it does, but we still go through this step. And here's the top. We're going to put the top on, lock it into place with this little green knob. And then right here, we're not doing anything to that. Okay, now we just push the play button again after you insert the jars, and it goes through a warm-up cycle. And then it'll tell you, after this warms up and steams the jars, it will tell you to fill the jars. So we'll wait on that. Yesterday, I canned up some beef broth. So I got 5 cans of beef broth that I'll be putting in the pantry. So that's adding to my pantry. I also, like I said, I let the deer meat soak in salt water. I just used the regular oxidized table salt for that. I didn't use canning salt. But when I cook deer, I usually, even though some of the deer doesn't taste gamey to me, I still, like when I can, I still like to add some onion and some potatoes, just a little into the deer meat in the jar when we're canning. So that will take that gamey taste away if it has that. I usually take do a vinegar bath when I wipe the rims of my jars with 50-50 vinegar and water solution. And then after I wipe it, to clean my jars after I put the meat in, to make sure there's nothing that's constricting the seal, I take a dry paper towel and wipe it off as well. And when I take my flats out of the water to put on my lids, I also take a dry paper towel and dry them off. Okay, it's going to take just a few minutes for this to heat up, so we'll be right back. Okay, it just beeped, and that means it's time for us to fill our jars. It says fill jars, so we just undo the little latch and undo the lid, set this aside, and we need to get all of our jars out. pour out all of the extra water. And this, they are steaming hot. Now it's time to fill our jars. Okay. I usually put peppercorns in the bottom of each jar, so I'll just go ahead and do that now. I put about 1/4 of a teaspoon. I don't want it to be so hot and spicy that my kids can't eat it, so we're going to go with about 1/4 of a teaspoon of peppercorns. And also, like I said, it's soaked in salt water for about 1.5 hours or an hour. So I'm not going to put a lot of salt back in it. I wasn't going to really put any, but I know that this combined seasoning does have some salt in it. This is a steak seasoning, and I'm going to put a whole teaspoon of steak seasoning in each one of my jars. And it does have a little bit of pepper in it. It has a little bit of hot pepper in there, cayenne, and just a little bit of everything. If you've ever eaten the steak seasoning. McCormick is usually the brand I get. And yes, we're gonna fill those jars. Okay, I'm going to drop just a few pieces of onion in the bottom of my jars. Maybe 1 or 2 pieces, not a lot. And that kind of gives it a good flavor too. And if it does have, like I said, if it does have any game taste, then it will take care of that, along with our potatoes. And it could, I'm just going to put probably about 3 little bitty potatoes in the box. I don't want it to fill up my jar, because and this could make your water a little foggy, because you know you have potatoes in here. But when I sliced them and cut them, I also drained them off and got some of the starch off of them. Okay. Okay, let's fill our jars with the meat. These are cubed, and this will mainly be used, like I said, for deer stew. You could also use it to go in chili. We're going to put these in, and we're going to use about an inch headspace. We're not going to put any type of liquid at all in these, because they will make their own liquid. Okay, there's that one. I'm going to go ahead and put the flat on it. Let's take some of this vinegar and water, just in case it's something on there that keeps the jar from sealing. We want to make sure it's not. So, okay, I'm going to dry my flat. if you followed along with me this week and watched my other canning video when we canned the chicken broth, I ended up with 15 jars. I ended up in that second batch going ahead and putting 8 in there instead of the 7, and they turned out great. Okay, let me take one piece out of that one. We'll just push these down and make sure there's no air or any, air pockets in the middle of the jar. Okay, wipe that rim with your vinegar water. It's just kind of a repeating process. Grab your flat, fry your flat. Okay, well, I'm going to get these all filled up and then we'll be right back. Okay, I just finished filling the last jar. Now, they're all in, but it looks like it's got just a little bit too much water down in the bottom of this canner because they're coming up to the top. So I'm gonna pour a little bit out. I'll take about 2 cups out. Okay. I want to make sure that the water doesn't come up over the tops of my jars. Okay, I'm gonna put the lid back on. Okay, they line up right here, and then we're gonna turn our little gauge on can. Okay, we're gonna lock it in. Now, here we go. And then we're gonna push the little start button again. Okay, and it says it's heating up. Okay, I pushed it again just to make sure, but it's heating up, and after it heats up, it will go through a countdown cycle for 75 minutes and can. And then it'll also do a cool down cycle. When it's canning, there's a little pin that'll pop up right here, and it has a hole in it, and that will vent your steam out of it. And after it raises to about this height, and when it goes back down during the cooling cycle, at the end of the cooling cycle, it will say done across here, and then it'll be safe to take your lid off the top. So we're gonna just clean up, and we'll come back to that. I have a little bit more deer that I could probably can about a half a batch, probably 5 more pints. So that's probably what we'll do, is can the rest of this up. So just hold on just a minute. We'll be back, and I'll show you what they look like after they come out. And pray that there's not any cracked ones, because this deer, it was a little cooled down from coming out of the freezer. And then even though it has been defrosting, the meat is still cold. So I'm hoping that the warm jars will keep the jars from cracking, but we'll see. So we'll be right back. Okay, we're back, and it's done, and we're gonna take the top off. All the steam has come out. The little pin has fallen back down, so it's safe to take our top off. We unscrew it and let the steam go away from us, so we don't want to burn ourselves, because it is very hot. Okay, now let's see if we've got any broke. Okay. Well, our meat is not pink anymore. It's cooked. It should be for 75 minutes. It did the 75 minutes, and it's still they're still boiling, they're still hot, and even after the 75 minutes, it's going to go through that cool down cycle, and that lasts quite a few minutes. And you can still see it bubbling in the jar. Can you see that? I don't know if you can see that or not, but they're still pretty hot. We have got a little bit more left of our deer, and so I've got some big mouth jars. We're just gonna go ahead and put those in and get ready to steam these and finish up another batch. They're already popping, they're already sealing. So those jars, you can't stack these on a shelf. You have to use a big mouth jar to stack them. So usually when I'm canning something of the same thing, I'll can some big mouth or some regular mouth so I can stack the regular mouth on top of the big mouth jars. But I prefer the big mouth jars with canning any type of meat or vegetable over those. I usually like to keep these for juices, and I even like the big mouth for jams or anything like that because it's so much easier to get the product out of the jar with your big mouth jar. Okay, so now we're going to put the top back on and close it up. And then we're gonna go over here and bring our temperature, our time up to 75 for our next batch. And we're just gonna push the play button. And it says insert jars. We've inserted our jars. So let's push it again. And this is gonna warm the jars up. It shouldn't take that much time to warm those jars up because it's already warm inside, you know, of the pot. So we're going to warm those up, and then we're going to refill them, and we're going to start that batch all over again. Okay, it is beeping, and now it's time to fill the jars. So we're just going to open up the canner, pop the lid off, and start filling our jars. Okay. Grab all these out, pour all your water out. When I was getting the deer meat out of the freezer, I come across some deer steak also, and it was just a couple. And I cut those up into smaller pieces, and I'm gonna can those up as well and make sure, try to get a full canner load. And we're just gonna get these loaded up. I'm gonna go ahead and put the spices like I did before in the bottom of the jar. This is a steak seasoning, a McCormick. Put about a teaspoon in each jar. And I will not be adding any more salt, like I said, like I did the first batch, because from the meat soaking in the salt, it should have some of the salt still in the meat, and this McCormick seasoning will have some salt in it, I'm sure. And I'm going to put about 1/4 of a teaspoon of peppercorns in the bottom. And it does have pepper in the seasoning. It has your cayenne and some of your black pepper. I think I missed one. Let me put some in that. Okay. Okay, we've got our seasoning in. And now I'm going to add some strips of onion. Maybe just a couple. in the bottom. Okay, and then I'm going to add the potatoes. Okay, I think I forgot to put some onion. And, no, there's a little in there. I think I got it. Okay, now we're just gonna fill these up and leave about an inch headspace, just like we did on the first batch. I've been meaning to can up a lot of my meat that's in the freezer, so I can make room for, you know, if we have any other meat that's coming this fall. I like to try to put some more meat on our shelves because our shelves are looking, they're looking kind of bare in there. We have 5 freezers. We have chicken in 1 freezer. We have pork in 2 of our freezers. We have beef in 1 of our freezers. It's about a half a cow in there that I work from. And we try to purchase a cow, or either a whole cow or a half cow, every year from some friends of ours that grows them out. Okay, man. Last year we didn't grow our own chickens. We still have chicken from the year before, so I purchased some chicken breast, but I think we've all, you know, we went through that and we've ate all of that, so that didn't last very long for a case of chicken breast. So I definitely want to raise more chickens in the future and be able to put them in the freezer and can them up. I've started canning. I've had the chicken wings. I've canned most of them up. I think I still have 1 more case of chicken wings in the freezer. And on the 5th freezer, we just have, put store-bought stuff in it, like some of the stuff the kids like to eat. You know, like my grandbabies, they love dinosaur nuggets. And let me get this vinegar. I'm about to skip an important step. Always take your vinegar and wipe the rims, because you definitely don't want anything to keep your seal from sealing. But my sweet little Ellie and Levi, I want to say hey to them because I know they're probably going to watch Nani's video. I'd like to thank everyone that has subscribed to my channel, and my family that's been watching, Uncle Buster and Miss Pat. Thank y'all for joining in and watching my videos, and I appreciate that. And I look forward to making more videos. I really enjoy it, and I really enjoy teaching I think everything should be a teachable moment. Okay, let's put these in. So I don't want my jars to get too cool. And I guess I'm poking around and let's see if I can get the rest of this in this jar. It's such a beautiful day outside today. I'd like to have been outside filming. I should have been out there taking advantage of that, because I'm sure my little donkeys are wondering where I'm at today. I ended up buying a ball for Fiona, and I don't know how she's going to take to that. I don't know if she'll play with it or not. I see a lot of people that have donkeys, you know, their donkeys love to play with a ball or something like that. I thought I ought to get Fiona one, but I don't think she's liking it too much. I'm sure it'll take her some getting used to. See if I can get the rest of this in this jar. I think that was one of my strips of steak, but it won't matter because it's going to be kind of like beef tips anyway. I think I'll probably just use the rest of that, the steak, to fill up this jar, and I'll just label it steak. Okay, let me see, get this other one. So, thank you so much for hanging out with me today.